Welcome, curious minds, to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging into a topic that might seem, on the surface, maybe a bit wet. We're talking about rainwater. But don't let that fool you. What we're about to explore is, well, it's far from mundane. It holds incredible potential.
Right.
It can be transformed from just a simple problem, something to be drained away, into a really cherished resource. And our core focus today is the truly innovative work of two remarkable students, Kesser and Steen.
Yeah, from Professor Hendrix's Nature and Innovation class. Really interesting stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Our mission for this deep dive is to explore their unique, really refreshing approach to creating what's known as a rain garden.
Which is, I believe, a Danish term.
That's right. It translates literally, and it describes a specific, pretty powerful type of stormwater management system. But what's so special about Kesser and Steen's vision is that they aren't just thinking about diverting water,
No, not at all.
They are meticulously designing a living landscape, a landscape that promises to benefit both us humans and the natural world.
In some really profound ways.
Yeah, particularly by creating these thriving habitats for vulnerable amphibians and, crucially, ensuring the purity of our waterways.
And this approach is so vital because traditionally, well, our societies have viewed rainwater as something to be managed, right?
Get rid of it fast.
Exactly. Get rid of it as quickly as possible. We've become accustomed to seeing elaborate drainage systems, gutters, sewers, all designed to funnel water away, maximum speed.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Pretty much. But this rapid removal has crucial, often really underestimated environmental implications. When rainwater washes over, impervious surfaces.
Like roads, roofs.
Yeah, vast expanses of asphalt roads, expansive rooftops, concrete sidewalks, parking lots, all that paved stuff. It acts like a sponge, picking up all sorts of harmful contaminants along its journey.
Ugh, like what kind of stuff?
Well, we're talking about everything from just general dirt and oil slicked onto roads from vehicles to microscopic bits of tire rubber.
Tire rubber, wow.
Yeah, it wears off constantly. And insidious microplastics that break down from everyday items, even excess nutrients from fertilizers or pesticides washing off lawns and gardens.
Okay, so it's quite a cocktail.
It really is. And all of this unchecked runoff doesn't just disappear into some neutral void. It eventually makes its way into our vital water bodies.
Like groundwater.
Could be our underground groundwater reserves that we rely on for drinking, or it could flow directly into sensitive coastal ecosystems like our delicate fjords. And this significantly impacts overall water quality.
Creating problems for fish and everything living there.
Absolutely. Creating dead zones, harming the intricate ecosystems that depend on clean water. But Kesser and Steen, they offer this truly unique and transformative perspective. They see rain not as a nuisance to be disposed of,
But it's something valuable.
exactly, as a valuable resource to be embraced, integrated, and even celebrated as a source of life.
Exactly. That immediate observation of the problem and then choosing to see it as an opportunity. That's so powerful, isn't it?
It really is. It shifts the whole framework.
Because it really pushes us to ask, what are the deeper implications of that fast-moving, polluted water? And what can we learn from it? And that's why this deep dive is going to be incredibly insightful for you, our listener. We're offering you a shortcut, really, to understanding a critical intersection. You've got urban planning, environmental science, and quite surprisingly, perhaps biodiversity, all meeting here.
It's a fascinating mix.
It is. And you're going to uncover how seemingly simple nature-based solutions can have a truly profound impact. We're talking practical insights in delivering those aha moments you crave.
Yeah.
Imagine looking out your window during a heavy rain shower, not just seeing a problem, but seeing potential, a living system actively working to purify water and support life. That's the kind of shift Kesser and Steen are inspiring.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Let's dive into the urgent why behind reimagining rainwater. At its most basic, a rain garden is, yes, it's defined as a depression in the terrain.
Right, a low spot.
Specifically designed to receive, store, and infiltrate runoff. But here's where it immediately goes beyond just a functional hole in the ground. It's simultaneously established as a specially planted bed.
So plants are key.
Absolutely. It's not merely about hydrology, it's about horticulture and ecology, working hand in hand, trying to mimic natural processes.
And you can even boost its capacity, right, with something called a fascine.
Exactly, good point.
Oh.
A fascine, essentially a soak-away or infiltration trench. Think of it like an underground reservoir.
Okay.
Typically a pit filled with gravel or maybe those specially designed plastic crates, allowing for a large void space to hold water temporarily before it slowly seeps into the ground. This significantly increases the rain garden's capacity without needing a much larger surface area on top.
Makes sense. So you dig the garden, then what?
Well, after excavation for the main rain garden, it's really important that the excavated topsoil is returned, maybe even mixed with about a third sand.
For drainage and plant health.
Precisely. To ensure both good infiltration rates and healthy plant growth. And the plants themselves, they're chosen for their resilience. They have to be able to thrive in conditions that can swing dramatically.
Like very dry to very wet.
Exactly. Very dry because of the excellent drainage, but then potentially very wet because of all the accumulated rainwater. It's a challenging balance.
Sounds like it needs careful planning.
It does. But when done right, a rain garden requires, the same level of thoughtful maintenance as any other garden bed. And from examples we've seen, they truly can form a beautiful supplement in a private garden or even along a street in your neighborhood.
Adding aesthetic and ecological value.
Right.
And this is where Kesser and Steen's vision truly shines, really tackling the unseen dangers of this uncontrolled runoff. As you mentioned, when rainwater rushes over these vast stretches of impervious surfaces, roads, rooftops, parking lots, it's far from pure. It becomes this cocktail of harmful contaminants.
Yeah, that cocktail you mentioned.
Imagine the daily grime. The dirt, the oil drips from vehicles, those tiny, almost invisible particles of rubber abraded from tires.
Still can't get over the tire rubber.
It adds up. And microplastics fragmented from everyday items, excess nutrients from fertilizers, this polluted mixture then directly ends up in our vital water systems.
Seeping into groundwater, flowing into fjords.
Exactly. The very groundwater aquifers we rely on, or sensitive coastal ecosystems like the fjords, the lifeblood of many communities. So the way we choose to manage and direct this water has this enormous, often underappreciated impact on the very nature surrounding us.
It's a direct line, isn't it?
It is, from our bustling urban environments straight to the delicate health of our natural world, impacting everything from aquatic life to potentially human health down the line.
And for Kesser and Steen, this wasn't just some abstract scientific concept like out of a textbook.
No, it was right there.
It was tangible, local, and deeply personal. They had witnessed firsthand, multiple times, how heavy rains literally overran certain parts of their area, causing significant localized flooding, overwhelming the infrastructure.
You could see it happening.
Yeah, you could see the water pool and cars splashing through it. Not just a nuisance, but this torrent carrying all those pollutants you just listed directly into their cherished fjord.
Mm-hmm.
And this direct observation of their community struggling with water management, well, that led them to choose this very topic for their nature and innovation class. Their initial drive was certainly practical.
Just get the water off the roads.
Exactly. Getting water off the roads. A clear, tangible, immediate problem to solve right there in their community.
But what's fascinating here, and I think really shows their insight, is how quickly and thoughtfully they broadened their scope. They elevated their purpose far beyond just simple flood control.
Right. It became more than just drainage.
Much more. For them, this project isn't just about making water disappear from the roads or mitigating property damage. It's fundamentally about ensuring that the rainwater, whether it eventually infiltrates into the groundwater that sustains us or flows directly into that delicate fjord, is as clean as humanly possible.
And that raises a really important question, doesn't it? What does this level of cleanliness mean for the local ecosystems?
Yeah.
For the creatures that actually live there?
Exactly. It's a profound pivot from mere drainage to, well, holistic environmental stewardship, recognizing that every single drop of water carries a story of its journey and impacts every aspect of the environment it touches.
And this leads us beautifully to the second major driver for Kesser and Steen, something truly, I think, dear to their hearts.
Mm-hmm. The amphibians.
Yes, creating better, more vibrant environments for specific, highly vulnerable creatures. They want to provide thriving habitats for insects, yes, but especially water salamanders, frogs, and toads.
And why focus on those specifically?
Well, you might ask that. Because they are incredibly important bioindicators. Think of them as nature's canaries in a coal mine. Sort of.
That's a perfect analogy.
These amphibians are often among the very first species to disappear when natural areas are drained or paved over, or when water quality deteriorates.
Their skin is so permeable, isn't it?
Exactly. Their thin, permeable skin makes them highly sensitive to pollutants. And their dual life cycles, spending time both in water and on land, mean they're deeply affected by disruptions to either environment.
So their presence or absence tells a big story.
It tells us a lot about the overall health of an ecosystem and the quality of its water. So by specifically focusing on these amphibians and ensuring a clean, hospitable environment for their eggs and tadpoles, Kesser and Steen are truly highlighting a critical aspect of the biodiversity crisis, something that often goes unnoticed in traditional urban planning.
It's a very proactive step, protecting vulnerable species right at the ground level. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, their project just beautifully illustrates how managing water can simultaneously be this powerful and direct tool for ecological restoration.
Two birds with one stone, almost.
Pretty much. Their approach recognizes that we can tackle the practical, pressing problem of rainwater runoff while also directly addressing the urgent need to protect and restore biodiversity. By allowing rainwater to gently seep into the ground naturally, or by collecting it in these specially designed, strategically planted depressions like their rain gardens.
They're doing more than just stopping floods.
Way more. They aren't just preventing floods or cleaning water. They are actively protecting the vital health of the fjord and reintroducing vital life to animals that desperately need clean, safe habitats. It's a remarkable example of embodying a true balance.
Between human needs and nature's needs.
Exactly. Between immediate human needs like flood control and clean drinking water and the fundamental long-term needs of nature, providing safe, clean environments for vulnerable species and bolstering ecosystem resilience.
And that really brings us to their core philosophy, which I think is just such a powerful paradigm shift. Kesser and Steen view rainwater not as something to be quickly disposed of, not as waste to be shunted away,
but as a resource.
As a valuable, life-giving resource to be harnessed, cherished, and integrated. This fundamental shift in perspective is absolutely key to inspiring, creative, innovative solutions.
It unlocks different thinking.
Totally. When you stop seeing rain as merely a problem that needs to be managed and start seeing it as a source of life and opportunity for a thriving ecosystem, that's when truly transformative ideas, like the ones we're discussing today, begin to emerge.
Yeah.
It opens up an entirely new space for creativity and new solutions that can inspire others, from individual homeowners to city planners, to rethink their own relationship with water and their urban environments.
Okay, so moving into the how. Crafting these systems. What's fascinating here is Kesser and Steen's deep understanding that for amphibians to truly benefit from, say, a low-lying area or a pond where rainwater collects, the water must be impeccably clean.
Not just nice to have, but essential.
It's an absolute imperative for their survival and successful reproduction. Dirty water laden with that accumulated sludge, oil, or various toxic substances, the very pollutants we discussed earlier, it's simply unsuitable for delicate amphibian eggs and highly vulnerable tadpoles.
They're just too sensitive.
Incredibly sensitive. These tiny, permeable creatures, well, such pollution would directly hinder their development, lead to deformities, or cause outright mortality. It would effectively nullify any benefit of creating a wetland habitat in the first place.
So cleaning the water first is paramount.
Absolutely. The concept of cleaning the water before it reaches these sensitive aquatic habitats becomes an absolutely critical, non-negotiable design parameter for any effective rain garden intended for biodiversity.
This raises an important question for designers then. How do you ensure that cleanliness from the very start, proactively, before the water even touches those delicate habitats?
Yeah, and Kesser and Steen address this head-on with the concept of a pre-filter.
Okay, pre-filter.
It's introduced as a necessary, indeed vital, component, a proactive purification step that water must undergo before it reaches the sensitive aquatic habitats intended for the amphibians.
So it's not an afterthought.
No, not a patch-up job. It's an integral, foundational part of the entire system's success, ensuring that the water quality is consistently high enough to support the vibrant life they aim to foster. It's about prevention, not just treatment later on.
Makes sense. So what do these pre-filters look like?
Well, one of the detailed options they considered, and a very effective one for biological purification, is what they call the biological filtration zone.
Okay.
This is basically a simple, low area designed strategically with coarse plant material and stones. It serves as the very first point of contact for the incoming runoff.
So it catches the first waves.
Exactly. And the mechanics are quite clever, relying on natural processes. The material choices here are crucial. We're talking about substances like gravel, coarse sand, straw, wood chips, or even peaty soil.
What do those materials do?
They act as a physical sieve, primarily. They slow the water velocity significantly, which allows heavier particles to just settle out by gravity.
Okay. But you said biological filter.
Right, because it's the plant power that truly makes it biological. Plants like cattail, which in Danish is dunhammer and yellow iris, gull irises, also sedge and reed, they play this dual vital role.
How so?
Well, their root systems create this vast surface area for beneficial microbes to colonize. These microbes actively break down pollutants, and the plants themselves absorb excess nutrients like nitrates and phosphates directly from the runoff.
So they literally eat the pollution.
Essentially, yes. They incorporate them into their biomass as they grow. This makes them a living, actively cleaning natural filter. And the beauty of this open, accessible design is its maintenance ease.
Easy to get to.
Yeah, because it's not enclosed, it's straightforward to access and clean, ensuring its long-term effectiveness without needing specialized equipment.
Okay, that sounds pretty smart. Are there other options for pre-filtering?
Definitely. Another practical yet highly effective option they explored is the small sand trap pit.
A sand trap, like on a golf course.
Sort of, but for dirt. This is strategically located right at the very front of the system. It's designed specifically to allow the heaviest sediment and dirt particles to settle out almost immediately upon entering.
Ah, so it catches the really gritty stuff.
Precisely. It's a beautifully simple solution, essentially just a small, deepened basin or sump that collects the bulk of the particulate matter before it can move further into the system and potentially clog the more sensitive biological filters.
And how do you maintain that?
Equally straightforward and user-friendly. It can be easily cleared out with just a shovel, maybe a couple of times a year. This prevents the buildup of sludge and ensures the entire system remains efficient, unhindered by heavy sediment loads.
Simple, but effective.
Very. It prevents much larger headaches down the line. Now, if the RainGarden system is situated near a road or maybe a heavily trafficked area.
Right, more pollution.
Exactly. Further advanced pre-filtration is absolutely crucial. Roads are notorious for shedding a significantly higher pollutant load, more oil, those fine tire rubber particles, other hazardous chemicals.
So what do you do then?
For these specific scenarios, Kesser and Steen suggest leading the water first into a small stone setting. This could be constructed with coarse granite or maybe field stones, creating a textured, uneven surface.
Okay, a rocky start.
Kind of. The genius of this design is that it creates a natural whirlpool effect, or maybe more accurately, a turbulent flow. As the water enters and hits the irregular surfaces of the stones, its flow is dramatically calmed.
Slowed down,
its velocity reduced, and it's gently agitated. This agitation, combined with the reduced speed, helps more of the larger and heavier suspended particles to drop out of suspension and settle to the bottom before the water moves on to the main biological filter or the sand trap.
So there's an extra layer of defense.
Exactly. An extra essential layer of protection, particularly important when dealing with the higher levels of contamination you typically find in roadside runoff. It ensures the subsequent filtration steps aren't just immediately overwhelmed.
So what does this all mean for the core design philosophy that Kesser and Steen adopted? It sounds like simplicity is key.
Definitely. Their approach consistently prioritizes simplicity, functionality, and really importantly, sustainability. They recognize that for these systems to be truly viable and scalable,
To move beyond just their project.
right, for them to move beyond just the theoretical concept and into widespread practical application, they must be maintainable without heavy machinery.
Ah, so people can actually do it themselves.
That's the idea. This focus on manual upkeep ensures accessibility for homeowners, community groups, local municipalities. It promotes widespread adoption and longevity. Furthermore, the system needs to be robust enough, meaning it shouldn't clog with the first significant downpour or degrade rapidly over time. It needs to handle varying volumes of water and sediment without failing. Resilience and ease of operation are paramount design principles.
So it works with nature and can be maintained by nature with a little human help.
That's a perfect summary. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this leads directly to an iterative design process, a core principle of good engineering and ecological restoration.
Meaning you build it bit by bit.
Pretty much. They strongly suggest building the system in small, manageable steps. This isn't just about phasing construction to spread out work or cost. It's fundamentally about practical testing in real-world conditions.
See how it actually works with real rain.
Exactly. By constructing sections like an initial pre-filter or a small basin, and then closely observing how they function with actual rainfall, adjustments can be made if the actual water flow or infiltration rate or sediment load is different than initially expected.
So you tweak it as you go.
Right. This iterative process, this build, test, refine cycle, is absolutely crucial for the long-term success and adaptability of any rain garden or LAR system. It allows for real-world feedback to inform and refine the design, ensuring it performs optimally under the unique local conditions of any given site. It's a dynamic learning process.
And the beauty of Kesser and Steen actually building something, even at a relatively small scale, well, that can't be overstated, can it?
No, it's huge.
Its potential to serve as a tangible, living model for others is immense. Seeing is believing,
Absolutely.
And a working prototype visually demonstrates that an amphibian-friendly rainwater system, which also significantly benefits the fjord by delivering clean water, isn't just some theoretical idea stuck in academic papers.
That makes it real.
It's a viable, beautiful, and immediately applicable reality. This hands-on practical approach transforms the concept from an abstract academic exercise into an inspiring practical example of ecological design that can be replicated and adapted by countless communities and individuals. It becomes a beacon of what's possible when we choose to work with nature.
Well said.
Now, here's where it gets really interesting, I think, where Kesser and Steen introduce a truly poetic and innovative aspect to their design.
Ah, the mountain stream idea.
Yes. They envision making the water flow resemble a small mountain stream. And this isn't just for looks, though it certainly adds immense beauty and sensory delight to the landscape.
It's functional, too.
Very functional.
Yeah.
It includes allowing the pipes that carry the water to meander, to curve and bend naturally, creating a sense of journey rather than just a utilitarian rush down a straight pipe.
Okay.
They even suggest potentially using half-open channels or maybe stone-lined tracks instead of completely enclosed pipes where it makes sense.
And how does that help?
Well, this thoughtful design choice does more than just look beautiful. It actively contributes to natural filtration and aeration. The slower, winding path allows more time for suspended particles to settle out of the water natural sedimentation.
When the aeration.
By exposing the water to the air in these open or half-open channels, it naturally aerates, increasing dissolved oxygen levels, which is crucial for healthy aquatic ecosystems and for supporting the biological processes that break down pollutants. It's about creating an experience of the water's journey, from rooftop to clean habitat, not just funneling it away unseen.
That's really elegant design. And speaking of innovation, what's fascinating here, and a truly innovative choice they've identified for robust natural filtration, is the specific use of hay bales.
Hay bales, like from a farm.
Exactly like that. Hay bales in cassettes or soakaways as part of this meandering filtration process. And this is incredibly smart for several interconnected reasons.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Why hay bales?
Firstly, they are remarkably cost-effective, making the system accessible and replicable for a wide range of budgets. We're talking a fraction of the cost of manufactured filtration media.
Wow, okay. Cheap is good.
Very. Secondly, they are composed entirely of natural biodegradable materials, which aligns perfectly with the ecological goals of the project and minimizes the environmental footprint of the infrastructure itself.
Makes sense. What else?
Thirdly, and perhaps most practically for ongoing management, they are incredibly easy to manage. Once these hay bales have collected enough dirt and sediment, or when they begin to naturally decompose after doing their job,
You swap them out.
you just replace them with fresh ones with minimal effort. And from an environmental standpoint, their disposal is also eco-friendly, provided, and this is a crucial caveat, they haven't absorbed significant amounts of oil or heavy metals.
Which is why the pre-filters are important.
Precisely. Provided they're relatively clean, they can actually be composted afterward, returning their rich organic matter directly to the earth, creating a truly circular, sustainable system.
That's fantastic. So you filter the water and get compost.
Potentially, yes. And the cassette design itself is wonderfully practical. It embodies their commitment to maintainability and visibility.
How are they designed?
They suggest these cassettes can be made from readily available, often repurposed materials like wood or even recycled plastic materials. further enhancing the project's sustainability. And crucially, they're designed to be slightly raised.
Why raise?
It's not just arbitrary. It's a key feature that ensures easy access for maintenance. By making them visible and accessible, it significantly simplifies the process of replacing the hay bales or inspecting the filtration.
Ah, so you don't have to dig them up.
Exactly. And this transparent design also creates this visible point where the water's purification process can actually be observed, transforming a purely functional component into something quite engaging and educational. You can literally see the water going in cloudy and coming out clearer.
A tangible demonstration.
Yes. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this visible, accessible design of the hay bale filters opens up incredible opportunities for educational purposes, for nature communication.
Like school groups.
Imagine a local school group or community members being able to clearly see how the water is being cleaned, observing the hay bales doing their work. This hands-on visibility transforms what might otherwise be an unseen underground process into a tangible learning opportunity.
A living lesson.
Exactly. A living lesson in natural filtration, ecological engineering, the power of simple, sustainable solutions. It could inspire the next generation of environmentalists and designers, sparking curiosity and practical understanding about the vital role of water in our environment.
That's a great side benefit. And as the water, now beautifully purified through this meticulous multi-stage system, from pre-filters to hay bales, mimicking that mountain stream as it finally reaches its ultimate destination, the low-lying area or the dedicated amphibian-friendly pond.
It can finally support life.
It can form the basis of a nearly self-sustaining ecosystem. And Kesser and Steen have thought deeply about creating the ideal conditions for these beloved frogs, toads, and water salamanders.
What do they need specifically?
They emphasize the need for ample shade, crucial for regulating water temperature, reducing evaporation, preventing the pond from getting too hot for delicate amphibian life.
Makes sense.
Hiding places are equally crucial, offering essential protection from predators and undisturbed areas for breeding. Soft, gently sloping edges along the pond's perimeter allow easy access for amphibians to move between water and land.
Like a little beach?
Kind of, yeah. And these edges also support diverse marginal plant life. And finally, specific native plants are carefully selected that provide both food and shelter for the frogs, toads, and water salamanders, creating a complete, vibrant, thriving haven.
A whole little world for them.
Exactly. It's a holistic approach, ensuring that every element contributes to a flourishing, self-sustaining microhabitat.
Okay, so we have this beautiful vision, but let's transition now to the intensely practical side of actually building such a system. How do you make sure it's the right size and genuinely effective for your specific location?
Right. The nuts and bolts.
This brings us to the concept of dimensioning of LAR and LAG, which, as you mentioned, stands for Local Rainwater Management Systems. Kesser and Steen emphasize a wonderfully simple calculation for determining the capacity of elements like a basin or a soakaway.
Simple is good. How does it work?
The beauty of it is its accessibility. If you convert the relevant measurements, say, the length, width, and depth of a basin into decimeters.
Decimeters, okay.
Yes, decimeters. The resulting number directly gives you the volume in liters. So, for example, a basin that's 10 decimeters long, 10 decimeters wide, and 10 decimeters deep would hold precisely 1,000 liters.
10 by 10 by 10 is 1,000. Simple.
Exactly. This simple, intuitive conversion makes the mathematics of sizing very accessible, empowering individuals, community groups, small businesses to confidently plan their systems without needing complex engineering software or specialized expertise.
Okay, let's unpack this absolutely essential preliminary step, though.
Yeah.
Investigating the soil's infiltration capacity.
Yes, crucial.
Before any local rainwater management system, any LAR system, can be properly sized or even effectively designed, you must know how well your soil allows water to seep through it. This is foundational.
Can't skip this step.
Definitely not. Imagine building a bathtub without a drain. That's what a rain garden is if your soil doesn't drain. If your soil doesn't drain well, a rain garden designed for infiltration just won't function as intended.
Leading to waterlogging.
Constant waterlogging, mosquito breeding, and ultimately failure to clean the water. It's the first non-negotiable step to ensuring your rain garden will work effectively in the long run. And the results of this test directly inform the design and dimensions you'll need.
So how do you test it?
Well, luckily, there's a very straightforward way to get a quick initial estimate of your soil's infiltration. Perfect for preliminary planning. This is method 1, the simple bucket test.
Okay, the bucket test. Sounds easy.
It is. Easy enough for anyone to do right in their own yard. Here's how. First, You dig up a small patch of turf, say 25 by 25 centimeters, in the exact spot where you envision your rain garden being located.
Create a little depression.
Exactly, mirroring the bottom of your planned garden. Then, you take a standard 10-liter bucket of water and pour it entirely into that newly formed depression.
And then you watch.
And then you time it. The critical step is to time precisely how quickly that water disappears into the ground. Does it vanish in minutes, or does it sit there for hours? This provides you with a direct, albeit rough, estimate of your soil's drainage capability.
Giving you a basic idea.
Yeah, an immediate sense of whether your soil is suitable for an infiltration-based system. It's a fantastic, low-cost starting point for any rain garden project.
Okay, that's the simple version. But what's fascinating here is that while the bucket test is great for a quick estimate and initial assessment, for precise dimensioning, especially for larger or more critical installations.
Where you really need to know the numbers.
Exactly. Where water volume and long-term performance are paramount, a more thorough nedsifting test, that's the Danish term for a comprehensive infiltration test, is absolutely crucial.
Nedsifting test, got it.
Its primary purpose is to gain a clear, accurate, and quantifiable understanding of the soil's exact infiltration capacity, ensuring the system is designed to precisely match the ground's ability to absorb water, preventing overflows or perpetual sogginess.
So how does this more detailed test work?
Well, it involves preparing a very specific test hole. This hole must be dug at the expected bottom of the soakaway, the fascine, or the deepest part of the rain garden.
Why at the bottom?
Because the soil's properties can change significantly with depth. You need to test where the infiltration will actually happen. Its minimum dimensions are 25 centimeters by 25 centimeters and at least 30 centimeters deep. Once dug, approximately 5 centimeters of coarse gravel is placed evenly at the bottom of the test hole. This gravel layer prevents the soil from compacting and allows for consistent water distribution during the test.
Right, keeps it open.
Then comes the next crucial phase, water saturation. This prepares the soil for an accurate reading. You fill the hole with a minimum of 20 centimeters of water over the gravel layer.
And this isn't the measurement part yet?
Not yet. This initial filling is specifically to fully saturate the surrounding soil pores, mimicking the conditions of a working rain garden during continuous rainfall. The hole should then be kept completely filled for about 30 minutes.
Unless it's already wet.
Right. During very wet periods, when the soil is already quite saturated from recent rainfall, this saturation time can be reduced to maybe 15 minutes. This ensures that the soil's absorption rate isn't artificially inflated by dry conditions.
So you want the true rate.
You want its true, sustained infiltration capability. So the actual measurement of the sink rate begins only when the water levels drop is nearly consistent between two consecutive preliminary measurements.
When it stabilizes.
Exactly. That consistency indicates the soil is fully saturated and is now providing its true, stable infiltration rate. To start the measurement, you refill the hole completely with water again.
Okay.
Then, you carefully place a straight edge like a ruler or a piece of wood across the top of the hole. From this straight edge, you accurately measure down to the water surface using a measuring tape or ruler. That's your precise starting point.
Got it. Then time it again.
Yes. You then measure how far the water level drops over a specific predetermined time period. For example, a 10-minute interval is common. And it's absolutely crucial to repeat this measurement multiple times, ideally 3 or more, to ensure accuracy and consistency.
Check your work.
Definitely.
Yeah.
If your readings vary wildly, you might need to resaturate or reevaluate. Finally, once you have these precise measurements of water level drop over time, you perform a simple calculation to convert the measured sink rate into meters per second.
Meters per second, okay.
And this provides a standardized, quantifiable metric of your soil's infiltration capacity, essential for correctly sizing your rain garden and ensuring it functions efficiently under various rain events.
And a small but incredibly important detail that really speaks to the holistic and thoughtful design Kesser and Steen encourage. After you've completed these infiltration tests, the hole should always be covered or safely filled in.
Ah, good point. Why?
Well, it isn't just about tidiness or preventing erosion. It's a vital safety measure to prevent small animals, like curious hedgehogs or other wildlife, from accidentally falling into the hole and getting trapped.
Oh, wow. Didn't think of that.
It's a thoughtful touch, isn't it?
Yeah.
It reflects the overall commitment to creating a landscape that is beneficial and safe for all creatures, large and small, a true testament to that nature and innovation ethos.
Definitely. And if we connect this back to the bigger picture, these soil infiltration tests, they aren't just technicalities, or tedious steps to check off a list to satisfy some engineer.
They're fundamental.
They are absolutely critical for ensuring the rain garden's long-term effectiveness, its stability, and its ability to fulfill its ecological purpose. Without a proper scientific understanding of your soil's ability to absorb water,
You're just guessing.
you risk designing a system that either overflows during heavy rains, sending polluted water downstream, or one that never fully drains, leading to persistent waterlogging, stagnant water, and the very unhealthy conditions Kesser and Steen are trying to avoid for their beloved amphibians.
So the tests prevent failure.
Exactly. These tests directly contribute to preventing those issues, and by doing so, they maximize the rain garden's natural filtration capabilities, ensuring that every drop of water that eventually reaches the groundwater and the fjord is as clean as intended. They are the scientific backbone that ensures Kesser and Steen's vision of clean water and thriving amphibian habitats actually becomes a sustainable reality, not just, an aspiration.
And that brings us full circle, really, back to the incredible vision and tireless work of Kesser and Steen. Their deep dive into rain gardens, it isn't just about solving a practical problem of localized flooding or ticking a box for a class project.
No, it's much more.
It's about a profound reimagining of our relationship with rainwater itself, transforming it from a mere nuisance into a living, meaningful, and deeply integrated part of the landscape. They've shown us through practical application and thoughtful design that with careful thought and clever innovation, every single drop of rain can be an opportunity.
An opportunity to nurture life.
To nurture life, purify our environment, and build resilience.
Yeah, their project truly blends that practical engineering of water management with, the poetic act of creating a thriving, biodiverse environment.
Practical and poetic, I like that.
It's a powerful testament to the idea that functional infrastructure can also be beautiful, ecologically rich, and deeply beneficial. By cleansing, delaying, and transforming rainwater through simple yet ingenious methods like their hay bale filter cassettes, they are creating this small piece of landscape that breathes life into the surroundings.
Cleaning the water, helping the animals.
Exactly. They're ensuring that the water flowing into our natural systems is cleaner than ever, and crucially, they are creating vital, pristine habitats for sensitive creatures like water salamanders, frogs, and toads. It's just an inspiring example of how we can intelligently build with nature rather than against it, creating mutually beneficial systems.
So what does this all mean for you, listening right now? The next time it rains, whether the water is falling on your roof, your driveway, or a paved street, maybe take a moment to truly consider its journey. What if every single one of those drops could be an opportunity, not just a problem, to be shunted away into a drain? What if our immediate spaces, our gardens, our neighborhoods, even our cities, could be designed not just to efficiently move water away, but to actually invite life in, to filter and nourish, to create new habitats for the creatures that share our planet?
It's a different way of seeing.
It is. This deep dive into Kesser and Steen's innovative rain garden shows that even simple, localized solutions, born from curiosity and a love for nature, can initiate significant environmental change. And, perhaps most importantly, inspire a deeper, more mindful connection to the natural world all around us. What will you see in the next rain shower? Welcome, curious minds, to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging into a topic that might seem, on the surface, maybe a bit wet. We're talking about rainwater.